Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/get-started. That's greenlight.com/get-started.
Hello and welcome to Citation Needed, the podcast where we choose a subject, read a single article about it on Wikipedia, and pretend we're experts. Because this is the internet, and that's how it works now. I'm Eli Bosnick, and I'll be the quarterback tonight, but I'll need some of the meanest, greenest defensive line this side of Green Bay.
Nope.
First up, three men who are sure whether or not the things I just said were football words / made any sense. Heath, Cecil, and Noah.
It's offensive. I found your line offensive.
I am a Wisconsin 10. That ain't much, but it's a
That's
living.
the temperature,
That's all I'm gonna say.
yeah.
It's a living.
Temperature there. Yeah, so the Packers D-line is good, but I don't think they're a top 10 unit. Right, we'll see how Rashawn Gary bounces back from an injury-plagued season, though. But it could be. It's really going to come down to how they develop the next-gen talent, like Wyatt, Brooks, and, of course, Van Ness.
Okay, you have a whole essay of this. All right, now also joining us tonight is Tom. Tom is here.
Oh my God, is this going to be about the New Jersey Etruscans winning the Stanley Series Bowl or whatever?
Etruscans,
I can't do it.
The whole essay.
Billionaire money, I will buy a team and call it the Etruscans. Billionaire money, I will do it.
It jerked off at a massage parlor to celebrate. Before we begin tonight, I'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons. Patrons, in another universe, Heath and Noah start a fantasy football podcast. You never hear my voice, and I'm their friend from work who died the first day he tried driving for Uber. But thanks to you, I'm here talking about football for money as the world turns. If you'd like to learn how to join their ranks, be sure to stick around till the end of the show. And with that out of the way, tell us, Cecil, what person, place, thing, concept, phenomenon, or event will we be talking about today?
Oh, sorry, I was just daydreaming about what you said. Today we're going to be talking about the Ice Bowl.
Yeah,
Yikes on
It's
Buck.
not the coldest thing that's going to happen on this show, though. Holy shit, man.
And Noah, I mentioned it ever so briefly. You're doing a football thing. Is that because you hate me and Tom, or?
Okay, yeah. So this one demands at least some explanation. Okay, so this episode is slated to drop one day before the Baltimore Ravens and Kansas City Chiefs kick off the 2024-25 NFL season. And it's the only thing I'm thinking about right now. Plus, Tom actually suggested this topic to me, so I'm actually only torturing you.
Well, and the listeners who don't like football.
Yeah, and I did suggest this, I'll admit that, but I am also a meat machine powered almost entirely with my own regrets. So,
yeah. Oh, okay. That makes so much more fucking sense.
Yeah.
So no, but a quick heads up to the people who don't like football. Yes, you're not into football, but you know what else you're not into? New Coke and really old French ladies. Right?
Yeah, that makes one of us.
I wasn't talking to you. You like football. I'm talking to people who don't like football. So, but the whole idea of this show is that you learn about new stuff. And I did not pick this subject because it was like the greatest football game of all time. Right? If I did that, this would be an essay about Super Bowl 42, wherein the New York Giants upset the New England Patriots' otherwise perfect season with the assistance of the greatest throw-catch combo in the history of football, nay, the history of sports, nay, the history of parabolic trajectories.
David Tyree.
what is
But we're not doing an essay about that. Sorry, Heath, we're not doing that one. Instead,
we're doing it next week.
We're going to do a story about a game mostly known for being colder than a White Walker's taint.
Okay, but more importantly, if you talk about football during the essay, does that mean that you and Cecil will talk about something that I like during the break?
Probably not. No.
No.
Okay, well then there is no God, no
Well,
illusions.
that's the whole point of our career. Okay. So no, but also a quick note to our listeners outside the U.S. who might think I am using the word football wrong. I promise I will also do an essay on your type of football too, just as soon as you play an iconic championship game in weather so cold that one of the spectators freezes to death. Okay.
Well, in soccer's defense, lots of people die after the
That
games
doesn't
are
count,
over.
though.
All
Yeah.
of them, in fact. So,
Bravo.
what was the Ice Bowl?
It was the coldest game of NFL football in the league's history. At kickoff, the temperature was 13 degrees below zero Fahrenheit. That's 25 below Celsius. But that's downright balmy compared to the wind chill, which was an Arctic 48 below zero.
Yikes.
Which is actually close enough to where Fahrenheit and Celsius meet that it doesn't really fucking matter which one I'm using there. But yeah, it was super fucking cold. At least 5 players got frostbite. And as I said, at least one elderly spectator actually died from exposure in the stands before the game was over.
And the saddest part is the guys who were supposed to paint the other letters on their bodies didn't even show up. It was just a sad frozen J.
We got the B and we can do burr. That's about it. Everybody else was down.
Now, so the thing that made the Ice Bowl so memorable isn't just that it was really fucking cold. It was also a great game. Or I'm sorry, it was a close game, right? It was sloppy as all fuck, and it was kind of terrible by modern standards, but it came down to the wire at least. And of course, it was also a championship game. It was basically the equivalent of the Super Bowl at the time, which I guess demands at least a little explanation since the team that won the Ice Bowl then went on to win the Super Bowl.
Does it though, Noah?
I will give you $11 for it not to.
Okay, let me speed this up. Eli said sports ball as a clever takedown of the entire concept of athletics just now. Duly noted. And congrats on that. Really, really good takedown. And now we can do the episode about a
Thank you.
subject.
Thank you.
Well, now you've preempted all my jokes for the fucking whole show.
Oh,
This is going to be the one that takes us apart. This
This
is
is
the
the
one.
one.
Right, right.
It's pulling at the fabric already. I can feel it.
I think jokes is generous.
So-
when you said that.
Yikes.
And that's it. Wrap it all up, guys.
so because it's the
Wrap
Ice
it all
Bowl,
up.
that's why we're being so fucking cold. Yeah. So,
I
okay.
just don't know why everyone's so mean to me. I'm always so nice to everybody else.
All right, so the very concept of professional team sports is younger than a lot of people realize, but you can't really have teams
What is happening?
representing cities until you have the infrastructure
What is
to move
happening?
them around on a regular basis.
Oh my God. And you know, you really can't have infrastructure until you harness fire. So if you think about it, the Ice Bowl historically could have only happened because the Etruscans harnessed fire way back in fuck all times.
All right, don't give me ideas, Tom. So, okay. So pro team sports crop up after railroads. There were team sports before that. Lacrosse goes all the way back to the 12th century, but it would be like exhibition level stuff before the railroads nationalized it, right? Like the local police department's baseball team would take on the local Chamber of Commerce's team or something like that. But that all started to change in the late 1800s as baseball teams sort of started to organically coalesce into Major League Baseball. Which wouldn't officially form under that name until 1903. American football followed shortly thereafter in 1920, when 10 semi-professional teams formed the National Football League. But to be honest, football didn't really hit its stride with the American sports fan until the advent of television. See, football worked really well for early television because in early television, you really couldn't see what the fuck was going on, right? But in American football, nothing's going on most of the time, right? So that very rarely matters. There's plenty of downtime between plays so that they can explain to the audience what those few grainy blobs they just saw were. And because of that, by the 1950s, football had risen to become the most popular of all televised sports.
Yeah, and mansplaining the blobs became an art form that lives on to this day.
Oh, yeah.
Football, a game so exciting it owes its popularity from not seeing it happen.
No, it is, though. That is true. So by 1959, the NFL expanded to 12 teams. The Bears, Browns, Cardinals, Colts, Eagles, Giants, Lions, Niners, Packers, Rams, Steelers. and a racial slur that wouldn't get changed for another 60 fucking years.
Yeah, I'm afraid to ask what the original mascot for the Steelers was. That seems...
But that wasn't enough to satisfy the national thirst for men running into one another every 45 seconds or so. So a second league, the American Football League, was founded in 1959. Now, these two leagues would merge in 1966 and create what would later be called the Super Bowl, right? The champions of each league would play against each other. But at first, this was officially called the AFL-NFL World Championship game. Now, what you have to understand about the AFL-NFL World Championship game is that nobody gave a shit. The AFL was basically seen as like the junior league, like the minor leagues of football at this point. The NFL was where the real football players went to play, and the AFL took what was left over. So a lot of people looked at it like as if you had the varsity champion play the junior varsity champion at the end of the season. And through the first couple of Super Bowls, that's what it looked like too. Right, it wasn't until Super Bowl III when Joe Namath led the AFL's Jets to a shocking win over the Baltimore Colts, who were favored by 19.5 points in that game, that people started taking AFL teams seriously. Okay, actually, no, it was actually when the Broncos beat the Packers in 1998 that we really started taking the AFL team seriously. But after the Jets won the Super Bowl, in Super Bowl III, the Super Bowl became the big game every year. Before that, the real championship was considered to be what we now call the NFC Championship game. That is the game that determined which team would represent the NFL in the AFL-NFL Championship. And that is what the Ice Bowl was. It was the game to decide who would represent the NFL in the last Super Bowl that nobody gave a shit about, Super Bowl II.
Yeah, and the guy at ABC who really wanted to call it the Super Bowlier has never heard the end of that. It's just every time he has an idea.
Yeah. So I'm not going to get into players and regular season records and all that kind of shit. You're welcome, non-sports people. But I have to say at least a little something about the coaches here.
Oh, it's all about the coaching.
Very good, Tom. Well
Nailed
sportsed.
it. Yes.
Well done.
Every time.
So, the Ice Bowl would see the Dallas Cowboys, an expansion team younger than the AFL, take on the Green Bay Packers. And critically, they'd be playing in Green Bay. Now, the Cowboys are being coached by an absolute legend named Tom Landry. The Packers are being coached by the guy we literally named the fucking Super Bowl trophy after, Vince Lombardi. So, I guess that's something of a spoiler as to who's going to win this one.
Yeah, regardless, though, when the Packers play the Cowboys, we all lose,
Right.
Noah. We all lose.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, the amount of genuine hate that I have in my heart for certain cities arbitrarily
Yes.
based on sports
Me too.
is
Me too.
insane.
Yeah.
My brother,
Fuck Green Bay.
My brother
forever.
lives in Dallas, and like whenever I go to visit him, his home is near the stadium and everything. So it's always Dallas Cowboys. And the whole time I'm there, I'm like, I have so many better reasons to hate Dallas, Texas as a city than this fucking sports franchise, right? But that's it. That's what
But
does
that's
it.
why.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
reason.
That's it,
absolutely.
though. That's it.
It's like bigotry. It's like
Yeah,
really bad.
Yes. All right, so now pretty much everybody telling this story dwells a bit on the what polar opposites these two coaches are, right? Like to hear the NFL Network tell this story, you'd expect that there was going to be a second game called the Fire Bowl that Tom Landry's team won, but in reality, these are two middle-aged white guys who coach football for a living. They're probably very similar guys, but Landry was considered the big defensive mind of the day, and Lombardi was considered the big offensive mind of the day. In fact, back in the mid-'50s, they both worked on the coaching staff for the Giants, Landry as the defensive coordinator and Lombardi as the offensive coordinator.
But then they fell for the same girl. I am back in No Illusions.
But and of course, the other big difference between the two coaches was their style. Landry was this famously animated guy that's always jumping up and down and yelling and overreacting to every play. And he was a famous disciplinarian that was feared by his players. Lombardi, on the other hand, is a far more stoic guy. And he was more of like the avuncular type of coach that was loved by his players, right? Think of Landry as J.D. Vance and Lombardi as Tim Walsh. No, I know that's wildly offensive to Cowboys fans, but that's what they get for being fucking Cowboys fans, okay?
Yeah, Dallas Cowboys fans will definitely be upset if you put them in the same column as a Republican.
okay.
Come on.
Okay.
Yeah. And people from Wisconsin, they won't be able to decide if they prefer being the bigoted couch fucker or the wholesome dad character.
Yeah.
Tough.
Yeah, but you know
Purple
what?
state.
You know what?
Difficult decision.
Yeah,
coming up.
I'm in Georgia and you're in Michigan, Heath. I don't think we can talk shit about Wisconsin in that department. So,
Yeah. Jersey,
I
baby.
fucking can.
So
Fuck them.
So now these are our coaches, and our teams are fucking stacked. The Cowboys have 5 starters on their team that would later wind up in the Hall of Fame. The Packers have 9.
Wow.
It's also right. It's also a rematch of the last NFL championship where the Packers won in Texas. Both teams just absolutely demolished the teams in the earlier round of the playoffs, and they're setting up for this epic rematch, which is happening, by the way, on New Year's Eve day, December 31st, 1967.
I fully acknowledge I don't know anything about this game, but it sounds like not all that close. The Packers have 80% more star players, right? This should be at least enough to win them the popular vote, even if they can't secure the Sun Belt. No, that's nothing. I'm sorry. I wasn't paying a lot of attention.
Well, no, actually, the Vegas odds makers were right there with you, man. So okay.
They should just cancel the elections completely.
Really?
The Packers won.
Right? So now the problem here is that it's going to be really fucking cold on December 31st of 1967 in Green Bay, Wisconsin. The weather forecast, we're calling for kickoff temperatures of 5 degrees Fahrenheit. That's minus 15 Celsius. And so the NFL commissioner considered postponing the game until the following day. But the forecast, which let's remember were way less accurate than the ones that we have today, said that it would probably be even colder on Monday. So they went ahead with it. And it turned out that 5-degree forecast was wildly optimistic.
Guys, what if we waited till Tuesday so nobody dies? Shut the fuck up.
Right? We're way too in the walk it off phase of human existence at this point. So, okay. So the day of the game comes and it's insanely cold. It is historically cold for December in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Many of the players, they wake up, they find that they can't start their car batteries. Their car batteries are frozen. So everybody's like desperately trying to improvise a way to the stadium.
the idea of a pro sports player just commuting to work and showing up late with like excuse donuts is fucking amazing to me.
Yeah.
But mostly because I think I just realized that the players don't like live at the stadium so much.
They're not gladiators, Tom. They're not gladiators held underneath the ring until they're ready to fight. Is that what you're wondering?
You know, like when you're a kid, you think the teachers live at the school. Like,
No, I don't. I don't know what you're talking about. You're the only person who thought those thoughts.
I don't think so.
Don't make it ubiquitous, Tom. It's not ubiquitous.
Now I want them to live at the stadium.
Right.
Like
The
roommates.
good ones too.
Cecil's just mad because all his teachers had to go back to jail at the end of the night.
I can just see me.
I had to live at the school. Shut up.
I want it like an
I hid the coat
11-decker
closet.
bunk beds for them to live in together now.
Right.
Stop melting my screen.
Yeah, so in a story that I absolutely love, Packers linebacker Dave Robinson basically has to hitchhike to the fucking game.
Amazing.
The team of refs gets to the stadium. They realize they're going to freeze literally to death without more clothes. So they have to make a quick run to the nearest fucking Woolworths or whatever they had back then to buy
Sears Roebuck.
Yeah, right. They had to go to a Sears catalog. They had to buy extra earmuffs, gloves for their gloves, and thermal
Amazing.
underwear. So they get ready to start playing. The ref goes to blow his whistle to start the game, and it freezes to his lip.
Fuck you, ref. Eat shit.
He rips a chunk of his skin off as he pulls the fucking whistle away.
I would just leave it there. Just
Right?
leave it
Yeah.
there. You're going to
Just
use
be
it later.
blowing the whistle all game. It's fine.
Every time you breathe
Let it
out.
go.
Low-key
For a week,
breathe
he's
whistling.
communicating with his wife via whistle.
So but here's how fucking cold it is. But here's how fucking cold it is.
Players are just pausing every half second.
Yeah, right. So, no, not that one. Okay,
Would've looked the same.
Not that, okay. So yeah, but it's so fucking cold that after he rips his skin off, the blood doesn't clot. The blood freezes onto his face.
Jesus fuck.
And that acts as a scab. So from that point
Nice.
on, I love this so goddamn much. The refs just don't use their whistles anymore. And instead, they just yell commands as loud as they can to the players.
You know, one of them was like, woo. You guys heard that, right? That's the same.
All right. Well, while I try to compose a sketch based entirely off the concept of a ref played by Cecil yelling, "Fwee, damn it, I said fwee," we'll take a quick break for some apropos of nothing.
Oh, you haven't read Snow Crash?
No, I figured it wouldn't hold up.
Oh, no, it completely holds up.
Oh, hey guys, what you talking about?
I was just telling him he should read Snow Crash.
Oh, what's that?
That's a sci-fi novel.
Ugh. Sci-fi. Me turn page. Me read story that not even real.
What an insane reaction to have to an activity, dude.
Nah, I'm just joshing you. I just like never read as a kid or in school or whatever. Like I'm more of an outside guy, fresh air, get my body moving.
Yeah, I mean, Eli, people who like books, they can also like exercise.
Yeah, it's just like these authors are so overpaid, It's just like, I'm sorry, you got $1 million for writing words in a book? Like, I'll write words in a book for $1 million, I'll do that. Put me in.
Sure.
It's just so common, right? So ordinary. It's like, oh, go Charles Dickens. Like, get a personality,
What?
Eli, I know that not everyone is into reading, but when people tell you a thing they like and then you react with revulsion and spite, just kind of makes you seem like the asshole.
What? No, it makes me seem like outdoorsy and sports.
No, it's just an asshole.
Okay. Do you think I might like reading if I tried to understand it? If I maybe read a couple books?
Well, pretty much everybody does.
It's pretty popular. Yeah.
Okay, but then who would I feel superior to?
Oh, people who like books that you don't.
Nice. All right.
Did you know that parents rank financial literacy as the #1 most difficult life skill to teach? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app for families. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn to earn, save, and spend wisely. And parents can rest easy knowing their kids are learning about money with guardrails in place. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/getstarted. That's GREENLIGHT.com/getstarted.
And we're back. When we left off, Noah stole Tom's cold essay thing once again. Tom, are you going to take that lying down, or are you about to write the best damn essay on the Sega Dreamcast this podcast has ever seen?
Just as soon as I Google what those words is, Eli, just as soon as I Google what those words is.
Yes, Tim Wallace was a huge Dreamcast nerd. I will die for this man.
It's true. It's true. Me too.
Awesome. Right? So now, okay, it's worth emphasizing here that Green Bay, Wisconsin is no stranger to freezing cold weather. And yes, this would be the coldest game in NFL history, still is, but not by all that much, right? The point is that there were procedures in place for when it got this cold to keep the field in relatively good shape. Now, for years, that procedure was just you put a bunch of hay on the field the night before, and then you take it off at game time. The hay is all frozen, but the field isn't. But Green Bay had recently installed an underground heating system. But for some reason, that heating system never kicked in.
Yeah, it froze up. It was its first day on the job.
So now, a lot of people, myself included, think that was intentional. Vince Lombardi was exactly the kind of guy who would do some shit like that. Like, he knew his team was way more used to playing in cold, icy conditions than the Cowboys, so bad field conditions favored the Packers. And yes,
100% he did it on purpose.
Okay, right. So it's possible the system just conked out. A lot of stuff stops working when it's that cold, but it's also possible that Lombardi just shut the fucking thing down. He had access to it. Nobody was going to tell him no. And it's doubtful he'd have realized just how bad the surface would get if he did that, given the actual kickoff temperature was a full 20 degrees below the forecasted one.
I feel like if it's your home field, you can pave over the grass, right? They don't let you do that anymore, Vince. You can't do that. You can't do that. No.
Yeah, it's like if Bill Belichick had accidentally exploded the other QB's head with his microphone.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like he totally checked for that loophole and somebody made him
Right.
drop.
They're like, we don't have to have a rule about a giant magnifying glass at the top of the
There's
fucking
no
stadium.
rule
You just
about exploding the other guy's head. It doesn't say it anywhere.
All right,
His
so
girlfriend's like, what's scanners.
All right.
It's the Airbud Dwyer.
There it is. Mwah.
Oh, that's so good.
Mwah.
I don't want to do podcasts
That's the
anymore.
episode's
That's
over,
the-
yeah.
We have to stop there.
It's done.
All right. So, but one way or the other, the game starts. The field's frozen. The Wisconsin State University marching band was scheduled to perform as both the pregame and the halftime entertainment. It wasn't as big a deal back then. But that shit didn't happen. During their warm-ups, the woodwind instruments froze, and the mouthpieces on the brass instruments stuck to players' lips.
Jesus Christ.
Seven,
It's like a Christmas story.
right? Yeah. 7 members
How does it
of
happen
the
to
band.
that many of them? Like, just one guy.
Right, yeah, like after one guy,
They all
you'd think
play
the
at the
next
same
guy'd be like, I'm
time.
not going to
I'm
play
gonna
the
give it a
fucking
whirl.
They all play at
Yeah.
the same time, Tom.
Oh,
That's
there's
how
that,
it
yeah.
Okay. All right. We're just
And
going to
once
let
it sticks to
reality
your
get in the
mouth,
way
you
of
can't
it.
like warn other people very easily.
Oh, like that's amazing. The thought of somebody trying to warn them into a tuba, right?
Yeah. All right, I'm playing. That doesn't help. That doesn't warn anybody. That's just Baby Elephant Walk.
Dun, 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 dun. No, still not.
There you go.
Still not helping. So, okay, but so 7 members of the band were transported to the local hospitals for hypothermia.
Wow.
This was from the warm up. They didn't play. They didn't like go out and perform. This was from warming up. Yeah. So needless to say, the band's performances were canceled, and that actually makes the field worse by the time the game's over, especially in the second half, right? Because that meant that there was a long period of the game late in the day when nobody was stomping around on the field breaking up the ice. So that was plenty of time for more ice to accumulate.
Think about the commitment you have to get hypothermia for a marching band.
Right.
I don't even turn off my fan for the podcast. It's on right now.
Yeah, okay. But Eli, you're not really considering all that sweet oboe money they'd be missing out.
Yeah, that's
true.
right.
Yeah,
That's the thing. Yeah. So, okay. So the game is televised by CBS, and the commentator situation is kind of weird for a modern viewer. So Frank Gifford did color commentary throughout the game and famously quipped at one point that he was going to take a bite of his coffee real quick. But
That's pretty good.
Joke, but I love that.
right? But the play-by-play announcer, the guy whose job it is to tell you what's happening second to second during the plays, that switches out at the half. Ray Scott announces the first half.
Tag, you're in.
Yes, Jack Buck the second. Now, the actual video of the full game no longer exists, unfortunately. We do have some preserved highlights. We also have some pregame stuff, but there's no full copy of the game archived. There are, however, copies of 3 different radio broadcasts, so we still do know what happened play to play. And what happened is the exact same kind of shitty-ass football that you would expect when players are tossing around a frozen ball with frostbitten fingers on a sheet of fucking ice.
Accidental perfect ice skating moves and falling in love in each other's arms.
Close.
Okay, whenever we got a snow day from school when I was a kid, we'd all go out and play football in the like super slow motion
Right.
football in like a
Yes.
foot of snow. It
Yes.
was so much fun.
Because you could really
Falling in
fall.
love was rare, but it did happen.
Yeah,
It did happen.
Sure. So now this game was an absolute slip, sliding, punt heavy fumble fest, but the Packers slipped, slid, and punted significantly better. So early in the game, they're up 2 touchdowns. And I need to emphasize just how badly the Cowboys were doing here. And I need to do it in a way that non-football people will understand. So in the first half of the game, the Cowboys only managed to get 2 first downs. And both of those came in the first quarter. That would be like if Tom had only managed like 2 jokes before apropos of nothing this week.
Yeah, and neither of them were a score. Okay, I'm sorry. That's mean. That's mean. I'm sorry. I love you, buddy. I love you. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
What happened to us this episode,
Ow.
huh?
Yeah, Cecil. Hey, guys, if you listen to the show before Cecil edits it to make it good, I am much more prolific. Give me my paycheck.
So as you'll recall, Dallas's team was never about the offense to begin with. They were all about the defense. And if the offense couldn't get them any points, well, damn it would be up to the D.
Hey, if you're coming in with the D on a playing field that's that cold, I'm not holding out a lot of hope.
No, well, it turns out you're right again by accident. So in the second quarter, the Cowboys managed to sack the Packers quarterback. He fumbles the ball. They scoop it up. They run it in for a touchdown. Then, as the half is winding down, a different Packers player fumbles a punt. The Cowboys recover it, and they manage to kick a field goal, cutting the Packers' lead to 4 points. At halftime, it's Packers 14, Cowboys 10. So then halftime comes, and I want you to stop for just a second and imagine what a miserable 13 minutes that is for the crowd in the stands. A crowd that includes, by the way, a 12-year-old Willem Dafoe.
No shit.
But think about poor little Willem. He's out there freezing to fucking death. Look, it was 15 degrees below zero at the start of the game, right? The wind chill factor was 46 below when the game started, but it kept getting colder as the day moved on because as the sun drops, the shadow of the stadium falls over more and more of the spectators, more and more of the field. So conditions were getting worse all day. And of course, the halftime show had been canceled on account of the fucking flutes freezing to the flautists and whatnot. So the crowd just has to sit there for 13 minutes staring at blowing snow.
And the flute is the one instrument you don't touch to your mouth.
Right?
It's
Right?
insane.
Just a spit icicle between the two. Yeah. So the teams come back out for the second half. Think about the Herculean effort it had to take to leave the fucking locker room. They'd been out there. They knew how bad
No
it was
shit.
now. Right? And keep in mind, many of these players are already suffering from like flu-like symptoms from being out there for the first half. And several of them were in the early stages of frostbite. That included Packers quarterback Bart Starr, who would wind up with frostbite on his fucking fingers. Very important body parts when you're a quarterback.
Yeah. Second only to their white skin.
Oh,
Everyone
yeah.
there.
Oh,
It's,
yeah. Yeah.
So the Cowboys had a star receiver named Bob Hayes, who apparently spent the whole game with his hands in his pants.
Yes.
That's what he said.
Yep.
He begrudgingly caught 3 passes all day for like 16
Yeah,
yards.
let's keep in mind, they didn't have pockets, right? There aren't pockets in these fucking uniforms or anything. He was just sticking his fucking hands down his pants the whole time.
Good for him.
So anyway,
Just running routes with his hands in his pants stuck in his belt.
So in the second half, the Cowboys finally got their first sustained offensive drive of the game, marching the ball all the way down to the Green Bay 18-yard line. And then they fumbled because it was that kind of game. They would get in field goal range about a little bit later, but then they would get sacked right the fuck back out of field goal range. So now it's the fourth quarter. No scoring has happened in the third. Their luck changes enough to get a touchdown on a 50-yard pass from a fucking halfback, which for the non-football people is twice as much back as you would normally expect when you're getting a 50-yard pass out of it. And with that, and the point after, they take the lead. It is now 17-14.
At this point, I feel like the halfback, fullback, and quarterback need to pull all their fingers, just all their usable fingers.
Between all of us, we got five. Guys.
Tom, what are you thinking about during this part of the podcast?
All right, dude, you did an essay on the infighting of Elizabethan playwrights.
Yes,
I don't think you get
that's
to
fair.
talk shit.
That is fair. Yeah.
So one of the measures of how iconic a moment is to sport is how banal the name is. Okay, so if something is referred to as just the and then the thing it will be the most iconic version of that thing ever. For example, if I say the catch, every football fan knows I'm referring to the game-winning reception Dwight Clark made for the 49ers in the closing seconds of the 1981 NFC Championship game. If I say...
I'm thinking of David Tyree, but yeah, that's the one.
You're wrong. No, yeah. So if I say...
You just wanted to think about that thing again.
Yeah, right. You're just using an excuse to think about that again. I can't blame you. So if I say the tackle, every football fan knows I'm talking about the final play of Super Bowl 34 when Rams linebacker Mike Jones stopped Titans wide receiver Kevin Dyson 1 yard shy of the goal line for what would have been the tying touchdown. And I point all that out because with Green Bay down 3 points with less than 5 minutes left to go in the game, the Packers would start a drive that is known as the drive that would end with a block that is known as the block.
Yeah, to be fair, the only non-sports I can think of is the pill, and it is my favorite pill. And
Oh, there you go.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm actually a fan
I'm a
of
big-
the ass, but the pill is also good too.
The tight end. Got it. I like the tube sock
Okay, all right.
What?
because masturbating. It was sex.
Otherwise, you won't masturbate correctly.
It was the third beat.
More loop for the ass.
Third beat.
All right. So
Beat.
now I'm. All right. So I'm not going to go into detail on the whole drive. All I'm going to say is that it gets the Packers all the way down to the 1 yard line. They are 1 yard shy of the end zone, 1 yard shy of the win. They're still down 3 points. So a field goal could tie this. There are 16 seconds left on the clock, and it's 3rd down and goal. Now, what that means is that they have 2 chances left to get this final yard. 2 chances, that is assuming they can get both of those plays off before the clock runs out, which can be tricky. They have no timeouts. Now, in football, an incomplete pass stops the clock. A run that falls short does not. A run that falls short means the clock continues to run. There's no way in hell you would have time to get your kicker on the field for the game-trying field goal or try again with another pass. So everybody knows they're going to pass. It would be fucking crazy to run the ball in that situation. Why? You'd need a block so goddamn good that it would later be called the block. Which is, of course, exactly what they got, to the surprise of everybody in the stands and everybody on the Cowboys side of the field. Bart Starr keeps the ball. He dives forward. He breaks the play to the end zone. He gets the touchdown, and he wins the game.
That play was as cold as ice.
Very well done. Ice water in his veins.
I just
now, so
caught the
literally
last
at this
half of
point,
that.
yeah. So
a block and tackle, right? It was a block and tackle.
there was, there was one of those, yeah. So
Okay, I thought I had it.
there's a lack of tackle, unfortunately, but yeah.
Damn it.
So just a quick note on the block. It's one of the most well-known clips in football history, and it's a great example of exactly how offensive linemen break open a hole for their quarterback.
Caliente.
Yes.
Thank you. But the only reason we have this legendary piece of footage is that one of CBS's cameras was frozen in place and just happened to be pointing at that exact spot where the block occurred. Because otherwise, look, there's no fucking way any of the cameramen would have bothered to point their camera at that spot, because everybody knew it was going to be a fucking pass play.
Okay, you know that guy's been telling the story forever of how he totally called it ahead of time. That's why you're shooting that one spot.
All right, so the Packers fans rushed the field, which is awkward because there's still 16 seconds left in the fucking game. So they cleared the fans out.
Which was very easy since they were all just frozen up like the Tin Man. You could pick them up like people-shaped firewood.
Or just push them.
Stack them.
The ground was ice. You could just push them, right? So the Cowboys ran their 2 doomed plays, and the game ends. The clock runs out. The fans rush the field again. The players limp back to the locker room, where apparently Green Bay linebacker Ray Nitschke's toenails fell off.
Jesus.
Sure.
Yep, his toes turned purple with frostbite. The quarterback also got frostbite in his fingers, like I said, which is all the more fucked up when you consider that this is the same team that would go on to dominate Super Bowl II like 2 weeks later.
Yeah. And you'd think him going, ouchie, every time he threw the ball during that game would be a dead giveaway.
Right,
but it
they know
wasn't.
to go for the fingers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, there have been a number of really cold games since then that have earned the moniker Ice Bowl 2, but the fact that there are at least 4 contenders tell you that there's really just the one Ice Bowl. It is still the coldest game ever played in the NFL, and thanks to global warming, it probably always will.
Jesus Christ.
And if you had to summarize what you learned in one sentence, what would it be?
I am ready for some football.
Turducken indeed. Are you ready for the quiz?
I'm ready for that too.
All right, Noah. The Packers have had many amazing opponents in the past. Which was their toughest? A, the tiny amount of red tape guarding Mississippi's temporary assistant fund for the needy from former Packers quarterback Brett Favre. B, Big Pharma protecting Anthony Fauci from Packers former quarterback, anti-vaxxer, and conspiracy theorist Aaron Rodgers. Or C, heart disease, the silent killer stalking every cheese curd eating fan.
You gotta wonder what fucked up shit Jordan Love is eventually gonna do, right? At this point, yeah. So I think it's secret answer D. You know which team has the most players in the Hall of Fame all time? The Bears, not the fucking Packers, right? The Packers, who, by the way, don't even have their own iconic recurring Saturday Night Live sketch.
Correct.
So
Absolutely.
y'all.
It's D. Their biggest enemy is the Hall of Fame. Thank you, Noah Lucians, for saying it out loud.
All right, no, I got one for you too. The Packers have the most total regular season wins of any NFL team over the years, with 799. Who is the biggest loser in the history of American football?
Oh.
A, Donald Trump, for trying to buy the Dallas Cowboys in 1984, but pulling out because he thought $50 million was a bad deal. The team is now worth about $10 billion.
Yes!
It is the
That's
most
more.
valuable professional sports franchise in the world.
Wow.
B, Donald Trump, for buying a team in the newly created USFL, but then cratering the entire fucking league by getting them into a big antitrust lawsuit against the NFL. Trump and the USFL technically won that lawsuit, but they got an award of $3. It was actually $1, but it was tripled because of a legal technicality. The USFL folded 6 days later after that case.
Oh, yes, they did.
C. Donald Trump for serving the national champion Clemson Tigers football team a stack of filet-of-fish sandwiches at
Oh my
the
God,
White
they
House.
actually had filet of fish. It wasn't even just the good McDonald's stuff. They actually brought filet
Correct.
of fish.
Or D.
Filet of fishes are the good stuff. They're so yummy. I love 'em.
Or D.
You're welcome.
Donald Trump, because the history of his business failures, especially in football, is genuinely a whole episode by itself. I'm working on it.
All right. All right. I'm going to go with secret answer E, Donald Trump, for trying to turn his base against football because of the kneeling thing, but it's his base. So they're like, yeah, man, whatever. And they kept spending billions on NFL cosplay jerseys and shit.
That is correct.
All right, Noah. Lots of folks out there will say you took a regular old sports story and made it interesting and fun. But Tom and I know you did this for spite against us. So, what will my next essay be about as revenge? A. Some niche internet fight that nobody but me and a handful of mentally ill millennials still care about. B. A lazy listicle so that I only have to write 10 two-sentence paragraphs. Or C. Shit.
So, secret answer D, all of the above, which is what you were going to do anyways.
Yeah.
All right. From time to time, Noah, I run across a story I think you might like to tell, and I shoot you a message. What are my criteria for those referrals? A, it's sports, but accidentally interesting. B, I read a book, but then I didn't take any notes while I read it, and I'm too lazy to go back and read it again. C, the new Bill Bryson book came out, and we can't stop holding hands and squeeing together.
Secret answer D, when I read this, I thought, oh God, is there a new Bill Bryson book out? And I was so fucking disappointed when it wasn't. So I definitely lost this week.
All right, Tom, that means you are the winner.
All right, Cecil. You should write an essay, buddy.
Okay. About sports or no?
You should write a different essay, buddy.
All right.
Do the New Jersey Etruscans.
All right, well, for Noah, Tom, Keith, and Cecil, I'm Eli Bosnick. Thanking you for hanging out with us today. We'll be back next week, and by then, Cecil will be an expert on something else. Between now and then, you can listen to Tom and Cecil on Cognitive Dissonance, Noah, Heath, and I on Scathing Atheist, The Skeptocrat, The Scathing Atheist, God-Awful Movies, and D&D Minus.
Said
You listen
Scathing
to
Tom and I
Atheist
on
twice.
Zero
Scathing
Life.
Atheist twice.
Well,
I
you
did?
should listen to it twice.
You can
Man,
listen to
is
it.
that
I guess.
Give it an
You've
extra
got to
bit.
get
that
all
good?
of the jokes. It's-
Did I leave one out? No, you know what it was? I was like, there's 5 shows, and I forgot we're on one.
Nice.
I was like,
Crushed
that's
it.
the one I'm missing. Like when Ross and Friends did the same state twice.
I don't remember that. I didn't watch
I'm
it.
just going to let that hang there
Someone
for you,
will like
buddy.
it. Tom and I and dear old dad,
Soup
Cecil and a
sock.
guy named Craig. Cecil and a guy named Craig, who is very rudely not on this podcast over at Lawful Assembly. And if you'd like to keep this show going or stop before we start a new podcast, you can make a per episode donation at patreon.com/citationpod or leave us a 5-star review everywhere
Why
you
you
can.
want to do talking ship like that, dude? Honestly.
I-
I
I wrote Talking Ship into it.
we're on a
Tom
bit of a
deleted
break. So
Oh,
it seems,
okay, all right.
it seems
They were on a break like friends. I'm the Friends reference guy of the podcast. If you're new around here, that's kind of my thing. Give me a second. I got to kill myself there.
Like Matthew Perry.
Oh, too soon. Too soon. There will not be a podcast next week. 'Cause
And
he just
if he killed himself, then how come 5 people got arrested for it?
That's
all
right. Exactly. It's their fault. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, check out past episodes, connect with us on social media, or check the show notes, be sure to check out citationpod.com.
Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/get started. That's GREENLIGHT.com/get started.